Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into this really incredible story today, and it's all about one big question, really. Can a single person, just through quiet, steady action, actually change the world around them? And this quote, wow, it just sets the scene perfectly, doesn't it? Our story doesn't start with hope. It starts with the exact opposite, a total lack of it. We're talking about a whole community that had just given up. They'd surrendered to this idea that their home, this forgotten valley, was just dead. So let's picture this. We're in a small village tucked away between these two mountains, and pretty much everyone there saw the exact same thing, a completely desolate landscape. But there was this one guy, his name was Idris, and he saw something totally different. To really get what Idris was all about, you have to understand what was lost first. This valley, it wasn't always just cracked earth and dust. It used to be alive. Filled with trees, birds, the sound of running water. But then decades of drought just silenced it all. So while everyone else is seeing nothing but decay, Idris starts this ritual. All by himself. Every single morning, before the sun even comes up, he heads out into that valley carrying a little bag of seeds. His neighbors, yeah, they saw him do it. But honestly, no one had a clue what he was up to. So you gotta ask, right? What on earth would make a guy take on a task that seems completely impossible and to do it all alone, day in and day out? Well, it wasn't for fame. It wasn't for some grand, complicated plan. It all boiled down to something really simple, a promise he made to his father when he was just a kid. It was like his guiding light, his North Star. Wherever you live, leave the world better than you found it. That was it. And that one simple promise, man, it led to this incredible 20-year secret, a commitment he kept pretty much all by himself. Okay, just try to wrap your head around the scale of this. This wasn't some weekend project. 10 years go by, and he's still planting. 15 years pass, and nothing. The valley looks exactly the same. By the time 20 years of this daily, lonely work had passed, the place looked just as barren as when he started. And his little ritual? Most people had completely forgotten about it. And all that persistence wasn't exactly met with a round of applause. At first, the other villagers were pretty cynical. They'd whisper, they'd laugh. But after a while, even that went away. And it was replaced by something way colder. Just total indifference. They literally just stopped seeing him. But then, after 2 decades of all that quiet work, something happened. A really rare, heavy rain fell one night, and that rain was about to reveal the truth of what Idris had been building in secret all this time. And the change? It was sudden. A young shepherd boy comes running into the village. He's shouting for everyone to come look. The villagers, they were scared. They thought it was some kind of danger or maybe a trick. What could possibly have changed after all this time? The answer was just one color, but it was shocking in how simple it was. A color that just defied 20 years of dust and dirt. A color that had been gone for so long, most people had forgotten it could even exist there. That color was green. And the scale of this, it was absolutely breathtaking. We're not talking about a few little green shoots or a patch of grass. No way. This was thousands of tiny trees, an entire young forest, just pushing its way up from land that everyone had written off as dead. See, Idris's work didn't just bring back a bunch of trees. He literally resurrected an entire ecosystem. For the first time in decades, people heard birds singing. A river that had been dry for as long as anyone could remember started to flow again. Life was back. So, when the villagers finally went to him, you can imagine they were pretty ashamed for doubting him all those years. But Idris, he wasn't angry. He just met them with the simple, powerful truth that he had been living by for 20 years. And this is the turning point. This is where one person's quiet action sparked a whole movement. That shame they felt, it turned into support. The villagers started bringing water for the saplings, building little fences to protect them. And before long, they were out there planting right alongside him. What started as one man's secret mission was now the whole community's shared purpose. So let's wrap this up by looking at the incredible lesson Idris left behind. It's really a new and maybe a much better way of looking at what it means to be great. This right here is the heart of his legacy. This story just completely flips our whole idea of greatness on its head. It's not about power, it's not about money, it's not about being famous, it's about the huge power of just quiet, steady, everyday effort. Yeah, he became a symbol of a totally different kind of strength. What he taught his village was that the things that really change the world, they're not always the loud, obvious virtues, like being super strong or super smart. No, they're the quiet ones. They're patience and persistence. And years later, when Idris passed away, his legacy was literally carved into the land that he healed. He wasn't remembered for what he owned, but for what he gave and for what he grew. And so, the final lesson, the one they passed down to every kid in that now thriving valley, was this really simple, practical formula. It takes this huge, scary idea of changing the world and just boils it down to the smallest possible first step. Which, of course, leaves us with one final big question for ourselves. We all have barren valleys, right? In our own lives, in our communities. So, if we take this lesson from Idris, what's the small, persistent action that you can start today? What's the single seed that you're going to plant?